Hey, welcome to HR Famous, brought to you by Kinetics, the leading RPO recruiting firm for growth companies. Named by HRO Today as the top midsize RPO provider, Kinetics uses its unique skill-based recruiter model to deliver on RPO engagements, allowing them to customize scope to meet your unique hiring needs. If you have recruiting challenges and want to consider RPO as a solution, give Kinetics a call. HR Famous is also brought to you by HRU Technical Resources, a contingent staffing firm specializing in engineering, IT, and technically related placements across multiple industries. If you're looking for technical talent or searching for a career, look no further than HRU.
Hey everybody, HR Famous Podcast coming back to you. I am Tim Sackett from HRU Technical Resources, Lansing, Michigan, where I am a stone's throw from Michigan State University's Go Green,
Go Sparty.
Go White. The Sparties are in the house. Hoping for a good basketball season. It's up and down. That's the way it is, long season. I also have with me today two of my friends, Jessica Lee. Jessica, introduce yourself. Where are you from?
Jessica Lee, Marriott International, where it sounds so pretentious to say my title.
Yeah. No, please, share.
Vice President of Global Brand Talent. That sounds impressive. Not talent brand talent.
No, it's global. I should mention too, JLee, it's global.
It is global because we're an international company. Mm-hmm. It's a global.
The other voice,
North America, that's not Western Hemisphere. It's global.
Worldwide, baby.
Worldwide. The other voice you hear is Kris Dunn. Kris, what's going on, man?
Hey, I'm good, Timmy.
Yeah.
Sorry about your Sparties. I know we try and keep these fairly non-date specific so we can release them whenever we want. Sparties a little bit down. Love Izzo. Hey, everybody, Kris Dunn, CHRO at Kinetics. As Tim likes to say, Kinetics. A lot of people have trouble
with
the name of the company. We're out of Atlanta, and I have a home in Atlanta, home in Birmingham. I'm not global.
Wow, baller. Two homes?
Wow, I'm just
locked
that.
In.
Wow.
I'm just locked into the Southeast. It's not international. It's more of a domestic play. But you know what? I'm happy with that, Tim.
What he didn't want to say was his home in Atlanta is a Marriott property that we would consider to be a preferred property, right?
Okay. Yes.
Courtyard.
That's kind of like
similar.
calling something the gold card when a platinum card exists, Timmy. Mm-hmm. Is what it comes down to. So, but I'm gonna own it, Tim. I am more of a courtyard guy. That's who I am. I know JLee's kind of. She's thinking about that, but I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that status.
I like the courtyards. I like the new courtyards. The old courtyards are getting a little dated. The new ones, like that design.
Oh, yeah, the new ones. By the way, you said go green, go white. Is that? Should we be saying go white? Is that a thing?
Wow, it's a color. It's a primary color. It was in no
primary
way.
Color.
And here,
white is a primary color, right? Come on, you can't make primary.
There's three primary colors. I got toddlers. I know this.
Well, I know, but then what do you call white?
It's not a primary color. That's all I know.
See, as we're talking HR stuff, as what we do here on HR Famous, Jessica, Happy New Year. We had the Lunar New Year. When can we stop saying Happy New Year? That's the question, right?
I say Happy New Year through about middle of February is my approach because I like to remind us all that there is a Lunar New Year, not just a Chinese New Year, but a Lunar New Year. So you should, just like your Christmas tree, keep it up till mid-February.
Oh, that seems inappropriately wrong to say Happy New Year in February. I wish we would have, there should be a professional, kind of holiday, kind of like, some of the holidays we have, I don't know, Arbor Day, whatever, where we go hey, it's January 7th, it's time, now from this date forward, you can no longer say Happy New Year.
Hey, Tim, maybe all of JLee's people don't get a chance to get to her like in those first 2 weeks of January. Maybe she needs that much time to make the rounds.
I think the important people do, though, right?
All of my people. That's funny.
They all have access. Of course. Of course they do. Hey, you know what, Tim, this just in. So I don't know much about Lunar New Year's, but it is the year of the rat in China.
Ooh. I'm not even,
what do you think?
What do I think? I think I can't even say the color white without Jessica coming on me, and you're talking about Chinese New Year and she's Korean.
I'm right in there.
Crap.
I'm right in there. You know why, Tim? Because we're global and I'm global. So you keep going with the green and white. I'm just going to take it to the pack rim.
All right.
Okay.
Hey.
Wow.
We are talking HR stuff today, like we always do. Katie, you're going to give us the rundown on the show. What are we talking about today?
You know, we're talking about, I'm going to set relationships in the workplace. Oof. If I was being inappropriate, which I'm not, I would say sex in the workplace. Oof. And I would say, there's a lot of stuff going on. So Tim and Jessica, we got two situations going on. The broader question here is, how much does HR put on their referee shirt and referee like what should be common sense? So we have two situations going on. One broke before the holidays. One broke in the fall, but it's back in the news here in our new year, which we now know Happy New Year goes through mid-February. So the two situations, one at McDonald's, one at Alphabet, which most of us better know as Google. So let me give this to you. So before the holidays, McDonald's CEO Steve Easterbrook was terminated. And for the uninitiated, Easterbrook was based in the UK. That's kind of cool, kind of a global company. JLee, would you like to comment on that? They're a global company. McDonald's, global. CEO in the UK, right?
I was in the Cayman for the holidays, and there's no McDonald's in the Cayman, which I think is super strange. Isn't there should be a McDonald's everywhere. You
know, that's a strange little airport in the Cayman. They're not going to have a lot of fast food there. So here's what we got. Post-holidays, coming out in the new year, you know, leadership of McDonald's kind of like reiterated the fact that they're taking zero tolerance policy. So let me read you what the code of conduct says at McDonald's. So McDonald's code of conduct states that in order to avoid situations in which workplace conduct could negatively impact the work environment, employees who have a direct or indirect reporting relationship to each other are prohibited from dating or having a sexual relationship. Now, that did not stop. That policy existed in 2019 and before. So the CEO, Steve Easterbrook, had a relationship with, we don't really know, there's not a lot that's been released, but that policy existed at McDonald's. It didn't matter for the CEO, but there's always this kind of vibe that we always run into. Should we even have a policy on this? Let's talk about that first, and I'll bring in Alphabet and Google, which actually avoids the birth, or actually includes the birth of a child from their chief legal officer with, I think, a direct report. What do you got, Tim?
You know, Katie, I want to say yes. The HR person in me wants to say, yeah, we have to have a policy to keep like everybody from not just going completely crazy in organizations. The other part of me goes, man, love is love. Like, people are going to find love no matter what. So it doesn't matter what you say. If you go, oh, if you're the CEO, then you can't have a relationship with this, or if you're a VP of brand talent, you can't have a relationship with whatever. But the reality is it's been happening since the beginning of time. It continues to happen. We can continue to just fire people for falling in love in the workplace, or at least just being passionate in the workplace. I don't know. I mean, everything I know from a legal standpoint, how many times I've seen, had to go and support organizations in court. I want to say, heck yes, we need to have a policy. But there's a part of me that goes, we've always had policies. They don't work. Jess, what do you think?
Oh, love is love is love. I can't believe you said that. No, I mean, so you have to have a policy, right? Like, you got to have, like, as a CYA move, minimally, right, have a policy, have some kind of standards. Do people adhere to it? No. But I think like not having it, you put yourself at risk. But I think at the end of the day, like all of this starts at the top with someone setting the tone and ensuring that, behavior is modeled in the correct way. And I don't know, I can't shake that HR part of me and say like, it's okay. Love is love is love. Make love, not war. That just,
I think you need a policy, and, there's going to be some people that listen to the podcast, and certainly we have countless examples, Tim, of where people found their true love in the workplace, right? Mm-hmm. And that's cool. God bless them. But then when you think about the CEO, there was a policy in place, and the CEO probably reached down 2 or 3 levels in the organization, and like something bad happened, or it wouldn't have been reported and he wouldn't have been out, right? Yeah. So there's a couple of things that have to happen. You can have a policy and somebody can go against that policy, but somewhere, some way, someone has to get their feelings hurt, or someone has to feel, I don't know, dare I say, endangered, whatever. They have to feel wronged. And then ultimately they report that, or somebody that sees it reports it. So
here's the thing. Here's the thing is this is never an issue when you have, so let's say I'm a CEO, which I am. Let's say I fall in love with someone who
no
works
big deal.
Let's say.
No big deal.
Hypothetically speaking.
MBD, no big deal.
And let's say I fall in love with somebody in my office. That person in turn falls in love with me, and we are just passionately in love. At that point, there are no issues, right? Just 2 people that are in love. It's a glorious thing. What happens is
working for the company.
No, yeah, but even then, like but then what happens is somehow that always turns. Like one of the people decides they're no longer in love, or somebody decides, oh, they're in love and they're getting a promotion over me because that person loves that person. Like all of a sudden, outside factors start to all play in, which is why we need all these policies to protect ourselves and the organization from the crap that we know goes wrong in love. But man, when it first starts, there's nothing wrong, right?
I see. This is where I disagree with you. Even when it first starts, what happens immediately is someone is in a relationship with another person. The other person is in let's say the other person is a CEO or in some kind of position of power. Automatically what happens, even when the 2 are all lovey-dovey, relationship dynamics change quickly. So like, oh, you can't say this in front of that person because they're going to go home and over dinner talk about things, or it's going to become pillow talk, or people's perceptions of one another are going to change. Like, oh, like I like you all of a sudden because like, oh, I've heard good things about you from, a trusted source or whatever. Like dynamics and power dynamics change super quickly as soon as this happens. Nothing has to go wrong. And this is why you probably do need a policy, and separate from the policy, like this practice of like you, especially if we're talking about CEO or a pretty senior person, can't stay in the reporting line. And I would say if it's a CEO, someone's got to leave the company. Like you can't just keep that going. It's crazy.
Are we sharing stories if we have them?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Katie. What's your
I think we
story?
are, right?
Yeah.
So let me, I was...
Let's just say this person's name was Angela.
I was a young executive. No, hold on. Now I'm going to tell a story about somebody else. Okay, so let me read from the McDonald's press release. Okay, it said that they had a policy, and it said that it dismissed the chief executive, who was Easterbrook, because he, quote, violated company policy and demonstrated poor judgment involving a recent consensual relationship with an employee. So here's my story. The year is in the, well, I'm going to show my age here, okay? This is 15, 20 years ago. I'm going to say it's a young HR capitalist, a young KD. And I'm not living in the Southeast at the time. I'm working for another company. One of my first couple of full-on professional type positions, got a lot of responsibility, and I'm working for some partner level people, and I'm just doing what associates do, right? Which is all the grunt work associated with that. We had a managing partner at a company that shall remain nameless, we had a managing partner. So I'm there like at 8:30 at night, and I needed a bio break. So I went to the bathroom. I'm coming back from the back room. Thank you, JLee. We'll do another pod on that. So I'm coming back from the bathroom, and you've got to pass the elevators to get there. And I'll be damned if I don't see the managing partner who's married, like getting in an elevator, like with an executive assistant. It's like 8:30, and the executive assistant made eye contact with me, and it was like a deer in the headlights. So it wasn't like, hey, we're just here working on the Comiskey project. It was like, oh crap. Now, like the smart young person I was, I put that, on complete lockdown. But that's a story. There, the age difference there, it's probably 20 to 25 years. And there's no way that there's anything good that can come out of that. So I think when you start thinking about policy, I don't know. I think it makes a lot of sense to have a policy just to try and put some roadblocks. And it's almost like a DUI checkpoint at that point. I think you're just trying to pick up the stupid people.
I think JLee I think it is the power issue, right? I think that's the problem. It's not like you just have some great, visionary CEO who, is just a great person who then falls in love with someone who's an underling, and they're going to have this great life together. It's any idiot executive that uses that position, that power, the money they're making, to basically just start picking off the weaker ones in the office to try to sleep with, which I think is the horrible aspect of what we have. And I know, JLee, I threw this out to you in a text message to say, is it different if it's a female executive over a male executive? And you said for sure. So talk to me about that.
Here we go. I love this.
Oh, man. Well, I think were your exact words, what if an exec woman picks off a younger dude?
Well, Mrs.
Which I
Robinson.
think is funny. Yeah. Well, so, okay, if this were to happen, and let's say a company we're trying to figure out what to do about it, absolutely, they should treat this the same. They should treat it the same as a male executive picking off a younger lady. I don't know what the right word is. But in reality, I do have questions around whether or not that's even the same thing, because this is a behavior that is classically a senior male executive, a younger female. And I think this is a learned behavior that is something that you have seen, I don't even want to say institutionalized, but maybe it's that. And so it's a power play that is something classically male over a female that I don't think it's the same. I don't think that this woman even knows what she's doing if it were a female executive picking up a younger dude. I think she's been caught up and, seen a learned behavior and then is just going with it. But I think you got to treat it the same. But I really don't think it's the same. I don't think I can live with that.
So JLee, so I would agree. I don't think anybody thinks that's the same, even though you could make a logical argument that it is. How many levels do you have to be above someone before it becomes egregious and gross? Especially, obviously, if it's an older dude. How many levels? I've got a number of levels in mind. I want to see what you and Timmy think. How many levels does it have to be above somebody? Let's say above somebody not on the same team before it just becomes egregious against that checkpoint policy that everybody has in place.
Oh, you know what? I'm conservative on this one. I think that there only needs to be one level. I don't think it needs to be anything I don't think 2, 3, one level. One level makes it wrong. One level makes it inappropriate. One level, if it's a direct report of yours you get into a relationship with, someone's got to exit that reporting line. This one I feel very strongly about. Tim, what's your number?
I was going to see because like I think what we see is like people working together and that direct reporting relationship so often that tends to happen quite frequently, and we see a lot of relationships go on to marriage and blah blah blah. So for me, I was one below that I think it becomes egregious. To Katie's example of like older, younger, once you get down anywhere under 2, I mean, come on, like that just becomes a crazy,
Yeah. I mean, I think you have the policy in place, again, where it's just a checkpoint. Like, nobody's disagreeing with the fact that the marketing coordinator finds love with an associate engineer in another department, right?
Oh.
Nobody cares about that, even though the policy, like some companies' policies may say that that's not even like, acceptable. Like, I think you want the policy in place just so you can like pick off the stupidity. But when love happens, true love, Tim, true love's hard to find, Tim. I know you
love
know this.
Love is love.
Love is love.
Love is love.
So that's interesting. Let me give you guys another one. So we've got Alphabet, and this is more recent, even though this broke a little bit last year. So we've got a guy named David Drummond, who's Alphabet's chief legal officer. Alphabet obviously is a holding company that's above like the fold within Google. Tim and Jessica, have you heard about Chief Legal Officer David Drummond? What's going around in the news on him?
Yeah.
Are you familiar?
No, yeah. I mean, again, we're getting mostly one side because obviously the person that he had a relationship with at Google was an underling on his team that he got pregnant and then started living with, and then basically just ditched for another girl on the team.
Ugh.
And he all the time he was married, by the way, with another kid. He sounds like the biggest piece of crap in the world. Now, again, we're getting the one side of the story. So,
hi, we're Meg and Amy from the Meg and Amy Show.
We're not only tech execs and big picture thinkers, we're also best friends.
We're curious learners. And on this podcast, we're challenging the status quo and activating the future.
And we're going to give advice about work and leadership, right, Meg?
We can't help ourselves. But this podcast is about exploring possibility, not being right.
That sounds refreshing.
For more, tune in to the Meg and Amy Show.
Yeah, let me jump in and give everybody like the official reading. Drummond's exit, and this is like post New Year. Drummond's exit follows a blog post in August by Jennifer Blakely, who said she started a relationship with Drummond while she worked for him at Google. So she worked for him, now under Alphabet, and that the two later had a child. Blakely accused Drummond of abandoning her and their son and emotional abusing her. She also charged that he subsequently had other relationships with underlings at the company. Here's the gold standard, JLee. Drummond did respond to Blakely's post by saying that he was, quote, far from perfect, though he did not apologize for the relationship or his treatment. However, he also denied that he had started a relationship with anyone other than Blakely, who apparently, well, here's the kicker. He said that he denied that he had started a relationship with anyone else who was working with them at Google. Hey, anybody that's working with me or that's on my team.
Don't you think if a person is a lawyer on the legal staff or in HR and they do this, there should be criminal, I mean, at that point, because we know how wrong it is. And not only this, it sounds like this guy, the legal guy from Google, actually had this person that worked for him having an affair sign off on documentation that she wouldn't sue, and then got it. So he knew, he even knew how to get out of it. That's the worst thing ever.
That makes it infinitely worse. Yes. So I don't know if this is right or wrong, but you're the chief legal officer, chief HR officer, the CEO, at that level, and especially in the realm of HR or a legal function, you at that point, you better know right from wrong. So I would hold these people to a different standard. But having this person sign documents to like protect it, like this is starting to go into like the territory of like what happens with like Harvey Weinstein, some of this catch and kill, these concepts. I am not having this.
Okay,
the whole Bombshell movie with Megyn Kelly.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to ping you guys just on some nuts and bolts that HR people have to think about. Okay, so I'm not going to say let's get tropical. I'm not saying let's get sexy. Let's get technical from an HR perspective. Okay, so you guys just jump in here. Policy, do we need one that says you can't fish in the company pond? Do we need one?
Yes, a general fraternization policy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Written broadly, right, JLee? So it can cover most anything.
Yes.
But I'm sorry, we're leading the witness in Tim. Tim, do we need one?
I'm perplexed because here's the thing is, I can easily say yes, right, and go along with everything. We all have policies. We're all going to still have policies. But the reality is we are totally forgetting a point that most people are meeting their spouse or their significant other at a place of work. And so we already know what's going to happen. In fact, we have like all these great employee experiences and team building. But we're even trying to make them spend more time with each other and get closer. And we're building this relationship. And then we're like, wait a minute, you can't fall in love and you can't do this.
No. No one's saying you can't fall in love. It's where there's a reporting line that it becomes challenging.
People are going to meet people at work. Then you're not getting broad.
Okay,
more specific.
So here's the deal. So JLee and I say that we need a policy. I think you could generally say that you discourage employee relationships. The folks that fall in love are going to fall in love. So now, Timmy, I'll come to you first on this one. Assuming that you got outvoted, the HR committee by JLee and myself. Now we've got a policy. Do we put special language in there for reporting relationships? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah. Right? JLee, right?
Yeah. Tim, I'm willing to have a clause that says love is love. If the relationship does happen to form in the workplace, here are the protocols of like how to proceed. And if there is a reporting relationship, then you got to do something.
And I think we've all probably worked for organizations that had some language. And I know the language that I think is most typical, and you guys can respond to this because maybe it's not, maybe it's just language that I've seen, is that the person who has the higher title is the one that has to leave the company, not the lower title.
I have not seen that as much. So that's interesting. So what you're saying, Tim, is kind of the next place I wanted to go. You're saying that you have a policy. Maybe you have special considerations for people who are managers, executives, or who manage others. And now you've got language in there, and I want you to like keep going. You've got language in there that specifically says that somebody may have to leave the company,
or leave that reporting relationship, right? And I know, like in this thing with Google, they made the female who was the underling move to a different position within the company in a spot where she wasn't even comfortable, didn't have background, ultimately ended up failing in the performance capacity. And I think what I've seen
sounds like a training issue, Tim.
Yeah, what I've seen is that when this happens and the policy you have happens, is the person who moves is the person who has the higher title, so that you're not actually putting something on to that other person to say, oh, by the way, you had this relationship and now we're going to actually take you out of your career path because of it,
Well, that's interesting because that puts the burden on the person with the higher title.
Yeah. Should be.
To say, hey, if I go down this path, I may be moving from sales to customer service.
Now, the hard part is if you're
how sales people would love that. Go ahead.
If you're the CEO, then where do you go, right? Like you have to demote yourself or go to that becomes the difficult side of that, one. But.
So another technical aspect of this, JLee, you mentioned this related to the Google Alphabet scenario. I'm kind of a fan, not of the chief legal officer having his underling that he's signing a relationship with sign a waiver. What about when people get into relationships and it becomes known? What about having them both sign a waiver that acknowledges like where they're at? Now, we all know that no one can waive their rights to a future claim, right? I mean, that's not something that anybody can do. But I think some type of acknowledgement that the relationship exists is not a bad thing because it makes people sign their name, and it may or may not include some type of ticking clock like Tim just referred to, that somebody has to find another position. Jessica, like you mentioned the waiver related to the Alphabet Google guy, but what in a more like neutral format where the person in power wasn't necessarily driving that? Does a waiver make sense?
Oh, man. I mean, at that point, I guess I'm worried that you're getting a little bit way into the day-to-day business of, a relationship or someone's, personal life. So I need a lawyer on dial to help me work through this one, because I think if there's a reporting relationship in the mix, I think that there is an onus to move things around, have someone, get themselves out of the reporting relationship, let the relationship continue. But the idea of acknowledging, is that going to go in my personnel file?
Of course. Section 6.
Oh. At that point, I'm out. I'm not having carbon copies of that. No, I don't know about that. What's the goal of that?
What about having a Tinder thing within your internal in your intranet, like a company Tinder page? Can you do that?
Oh my God! I've actually looked at technologies for mentor matching technologies where you can swipe left and right for your potential mentor. It's just one step away.
Yeah.
What? Wow. You do a lot of demos, JLee. JLee's on top of all the technology. Hey, am I the only person with stories? Because I have another story. I the only person
I have one
that has stories? You go and then I'll go, Timmy.
So I get to Applebees and they give me they give me the training schedule.
It's a hotbed. That's a hotbed of this.
Oh, casual dining, restaurant industry, bar industry. So they give me my schedule. I got 3 months of training before I even hit the HR shop. I have 3 months of restaurant training, travel training, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? So they hook me up with the VP, area VP, who I'm going to be partners with. So I'm his HR partner.
They hook you up.
Yeah. And so we're traveling, a lot of dashboard time, traveling every day. He's kind of giving me the
single.
rundown.
Hey, real quick, single room or 2 rooms when you hit the hotel? 2 rooms? That's
a whole nother story. I did first time Applebee's travel, not with him but with somebody else. Another HR person. They made us bunk up together.
Oh God!
And it lasted half the night. Katie, I walked down to the front desk, got my own room because the guy snored. I couldn't take it. Anyways, So we're traveling, and you get to know people, build that relationship, and I'm asking him. He's got, I got a wife and 2 daughters, and I got a wife, I got some kids, blah blah blah. We're talking, I'm a people person, so I'm like, how'd you meet your wife? Well, when I was a GM, a general manager of a restaurant, she was my bartender.
Oh, chicka bow bow.
And so he goes on to tell me a story of how when he first became a general manager, his area vice president actually told him one of the benefits of being a general manager was you could have sex with the staff.
Oh my God.
And I was like, so are you telling me this because this is still a benefit, or he's like, you just have to know how the history of this industry and what you're getting into, because you're going to run into a lot of stuff that's happened in the history of it,
JLee, you want to break that one down for us?
I need a massage because my shoulders are so tense right now hearing this. I mean, I think Tim is right. Certain industries, you're going to see this happening much more often than not. And I will not deny, in 2020, people spend a lot of time at work, and I think relationships are inevitable. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying this doesn't happen and it's not acceptable. It's going to happen. It's just when you have the power dynamics, that is when things get a little bit weird. But I'll say, even without reporting relationships, when you have couples in the workplace, like I think that it can be weird. I'm not saying it's wrong, but like, for you to be able to say to someone like, oh, you work with so-and-so, that's my, spouse, or, oh, don't say this about that person, that's that other person's, spouse, or, oh, maybe they'll go talk about it when they get home. I mean, I need a massage now. Not from a colleague. I need a massage.
Right. Not from, well,
no,
yes.
No, yes.
It's funny, Tim and JLee, all of my stories about this revolve around elevators. So at another previous company, this is, I'm an older, HR individual, Generation X. But prior to Kinetics, I was walking down one night. It's probably 7 at night with a colleague, another male individual. And we're walking out at the same time. So we took the elevator down. And we go down to 12 stories. And we hit the ground level. And from the ground level, it's not city street. It's suburban, parking lot. And we come off the elevator, and it's one of those glitchy moments, the glitch in the Matrix, where you just catch something. So I'm walking down with him. We get off the elevator.
Was that a black cat?
It's a black cat in the Matrix, right, where it does the little two-step, the little back and forth. It's oh, they're coming. So I get off the elevator, and my guy says goodnight to me, shakes my hand, and as I'm shaking his hand, I see an individual in a car from about 25 yards away, up to the lobby doors, right? And I'm facing what is in fact a her. And all of a sudden, that car peels out. It's a second and a half, glimpse. And all of a sudden, the car peels out like it's Fast and Furious 9. It peels out of the parking lot, and I didn't think anything about it, but it's one of those seeds that gets planted in your mind. Who was that? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't think a lot about it. And then 2.5 years later, the individual came out that they were in a deep relationship with that person. It happened to be the female in the car who was coming to pick him up. And she just totally caught the wrong timing where a director of HR was shaking her dude's hand. And I saw her all the time. So it's funny, elevators really there's a lot of action around elevators. You can do worse. You could do worse than just observing human behavior around elevators. Go, JLee.
Your first story, I have questions about your second story. Your first story, by the way, though, you just saw a look of deer in the headlights and two people leaving. I actually feel bad for those people because how do we even know that there was really a relationship happening? So this is how rumors start, and that's a little bit unfortunate. This is conjecture. This is an alleged relationship.
Are you going to let me respond to that?
No, because I have to go to the second story because what I'm so curious about is that how you always say goodbye to people is with a handshake? This is just your colleague. Is that how you just say goodbye normally?
Hey, don't there's no reason.
It's just
there's no reason to attack my cool factor. What if the dude was 15 years older to me and how he communicated Boomer? Okay, Boomer, how he communicated was with a hearty handshake.
It's so funny.
It's not about KD.
And Tim was, he said, and I gave the guy a hug goodbye, and then we parted ways. And I know that's classic him, but a handshake, that's just so interesting. It's just very fascinating. Well, generational dynamics.
What if I said it was a soul shake? I mean, would that change it? Would that make me somehow better in your eyes? So I want to go back. I want to go back to the first one though, JLee, as you're attacking me for just, I guess, my social graces. So on the first one, here's an idea. If you're an executive, so you got Steve Easterling at McDonald's, okay? This is easily something that McDonald's CEO could have been seen going out in the building in London or wherever they are. Here's an idea. Don't ride down in the elevator with young people, at 8:30 at night. And by the way, see what I didn't mention is the guy is never there at night because it's his managing partner And that's what grunts like me were for, is to do the work, right? And that's fine. That's like the way it is. But also, too, I should note, too, attractive young professional, attractive executive assistant, my homeboy was probably carrying about 50 extra pounds. Oh. So JLee's big individuals, like with my handshake. So I just want to throw that out there.
Well, love is love. You never know, the two people that may fall in love with one another, and you can't judge a book by the cover. Maybe he had a sparkling, dazzling personality, but that's it just, tells you that this whole thing is very complicated, though. I mean, the fact that someone should have to possibly wait to get in the elevator because they want to not be seen, that you would be plotting that much. Also for me, it's just a kind of whole, just different weird dynamic about this whole thing. It's complicated. It's sad that we live in this day and age, let me tell you.
Hey, if you're a guy like Tim Sackett, he's the president CEO. I mean, there's a lot of title prestige that goes on with that. Mm-hmm. In today's world, in a Harvey Weinstein world, I'm not saying you should give all of the career and social graces to female associates that you do male associates. What I'm saying is 8:30 or 9 at night. Maybe the fact that maybe you just shouldn't be in the elevator, with somebody young. Yeah. Maybe that's just a reality today. Yeah. And it was a reality, by the way, back in the day when I saw my homeboy getting in there. All right.
So I'm gonna get the HR famous crew out of here on this one. So JLee, Katie, my wife, and I went and saw Bombshell, the Megyn Kelly movie, which deals with all of this.
Right.
Upon leaving, which my wife was upset because she's not a corporate person, so she kind of was like, I can't believe that stuff happens. I'm like, oh boy, yeah.
Oh.
And then I go, I got to tell you, I'm almost a little upset with myself that I've been an executive for so long and not once have I found someone to be able to sleep with. I can't believe it. Now, she was extremely happy with that, but I don't even know how to use that title. That's how low my game is on this whole process. But definitely craziness in the world right now. But
Jimmy.
Some good stuff in the world, too, because whether it's Google, McDonald's, we see this stuff coming out every single day. I think organizations are finally starting to move people out real quick. Katie?
Awareness, yes.
Hey, so I know we got to go. I'll give you one last thing for you guys to respond to. So we've talked a lot about older men and their relationships with younger subordinates. Let me go functional area. An HR person having a relationship with somebody at their location.
Oh.
Poison. It never goes well.
It never goes well.
Never
right?
goes well.
No.
Because you have access to all the information.
No.
You could be perfect from a behavior perspective, and if you start up a relationship with somebody, especially in the same location, it's bad news. Maybe unfair. Yeah. And you know what? If I was riding down the elevator with you, JLee, and you were that HR person, when I saw the person that was waiting for you in the car, you know what I do? I give you a hearty handshake.
And with that, you've been listening to the HR Famous Podcast with JLee, Kris Dunn, and myself, Tim Sackett. We will see you guys next time. We are out.